All right. Well, welcome to another mini mastery class on the best sales strategies for coaches. No matter where you are, whatever platform you're watching this on, please let me know. Leave a comment. Let me know where you're logging in from. Let me know if you're watching live or you're watching the replay. And as always, engage. If there's anything that really hits you, type it in just to capture it. If you have any questions, type them in. You have to engage if you're going to build mastery. It's another big mistake that a lot of people make. That'll be the topic of another webinar or mini mastery class in the future, or email or something, about how we're actually studying and what we're consuming and how we're consuming it, because most of us are not consuming in a way that's actually going to benefit us to build the muscles that we need to build in order to do the things that we want to do on the planet. So with all that being said, let's dive into the best sales strategy for coaches. Oh, let me just take a breath here because I got a lot to say about this. I'm going to talk for a while about what's wrong, about what the problem is. What I see is that so many of the programs out there in the coaching world, specifically the videos, the courses, the emails, the concepts, the pitches, are all about increasing your sales skills, which on the surface makes sense. If you're in business, you are a salesperson to some degree, because if you're asking people to give you money for a product or service, you're in sales, right? Any exchange of money is in sales. So I'm not a big fan of pretending that we're not in sales. But what I'm not a fan of is increasing your sales skills in a way that's not going to benefit you. So what nearly all the programs are telling you is that you need to increase your sales skills like the salespeople. So they're teaching you how to turn all the no's into yeses. I can't even say that without like physically responding. I hate that so much with such a passion. Number one, it is complete nonsense. Nobody should ever believe that that's even possible, nor should you want to turn all the no's into yeses. It's ridiculous on every single level. The amount of times I hear it out there makes my blood boil. Or they'll tell you how to increase your sales without being salesy. And in the meantime, just vomiting nothing but salesy nonsense, or how to overcome objections, or whatever the case is. Like, they speak to our fears. And some of these are absolutely legitimate concerns, or at least considerations. There are objections in the sales process. So a lot of people go, yeah, that is in the sales conversation, so that's what I really need to learn. But the problem is it's coming from the wrong perspective. And that's what I really want to harp on here. And then I'm going to get to the number one sales strategy after you forget all of the other stuff that nearly everybody is buying and it's not working for them. That's one of the reasons why there's so much of it on the market, is because it actually doesn't work. I never really thought about that. You know, the things that are on the shelves, like if the shelf is full of all these different types of the same kind of philosophy, it kind of means they're not working. Otherwise, you wouldn't have all these different brands of the same stuff that people keep falling for. It's kind of like the diet industry. There's so many diets. The reason is none of them work for nearly anybody long term. That's why people need to go from one diet to another diet to another diet to another diet. Anyway, that's a soapbox for another day. But a lot of people have legitimate concerns, obviously, about sales. And so the product claims out there make sense because that's what people are wanting, right? So it's a very common conversation. But what people are claiming, just because there's a lot of claims out there, doesn't necessarily mean that they're actually possible or that they're relevant, especially for you, right? So it's 100% true that, well, let me say it a different way. It being those claims, the pitch, the strategy, it is true for the people that are selling it and for the people that are selling that exact same product to the exact same kind of people. But just because something is true and works for somebody else selling something else to some other people doesn't mean it's going to work for you when you change all those variables. If what you're selling is primarily transactional, then it's easier for transactional recipes to travel. If the transactional recipe of selling people how to make money in real estate, or selling people how to make money on Etsy, or selling people how to build a franchise or something like that, those philosophies can transfer because the essence of the conversation is transactional. You give me money and I'll give you information for a transactional purpose, and you should be good. But when you're talking about transformational, it's not the same. So the transactional tactics are not going to work for transformational products. I'm going to say that again because you got to get this. The transactional tactics are not going to work for transformational products. If you are a life coach of any kind, if you're a leader, if you want to help individual people, then the transactional tactics are probably not going to work for you because you're not selling transaction. You're not selling money. You're not selling marketing funnels. You're not selling the tools. You're selling the transformation. You are the tool. You are the messenger, right? So if you take somebody else's recipe that works, when they sold you their marketing philosophy, and then you take those same philosophies, you take the same strategies and implement them into your transformational coaching recipe, it's not going to work. It's all going to fall down because there's too many variables that change. And I think most people understand this intellectually, right? You can't just take a recipe that works in a completely different area and apply it over here. But what I see in the industry is so many people are acting like they don't understand this. Too many people are still buying into the one size fits all, the guarantees, the let me predict the future for you. And you have to reject the entire concept that that's even possible. And then you won't fall for all the different versions of it, right? So it's not that these strategies are wrong or that they don't work. It's just for almost all, I think for all of you, they're just wrong for you and they won't work for you. Because if you follow any of my stuff and you last more than about 30 seconds, then you're probably more of a coach than a salesperson. You're probably more of a teacher or more of a trainer. You see yourself as somebody that really wants to help through teaching more than to extract through selling. Oof. So the extraction mechanisms are not going to work for you because you're not an extractor. You are more of an injection. You're more of an injector of truth, of transformation, right? So because the alignment isn't there, then the strategies that work for salespeople are not going to be as successful as you because you don't see yourself as a salesperson. So that's why the recipes that are guaranteed and have all of those, testimonials and all the people that say, yeah, I just tripped and fell into this strategy and all of a sudden I had $45,000. They're probably selling the exact same thing that they bought to the exact same people. And that's the pyramid aspect of the coaching industry. But if you want to help individuals, you need to understand that the recipe for assembly line approaches can't work for you because you're not an assembly line leader. You're not an assembly line coach. You're coaching individuals. And one of the best analogies that I have for you is that if you're a dolphin, don't go to shark swimming school. It's not that the swim school for sharks doesn't work. It's just that it only works for sharks. And what I love about this analogy is that it has a literal foundation to it, like a literal distinction. Sharks and dolphins are very similar in their body shape and where they swim in the ocean, and their lifestyles to some degree are quite similar in the ecosystem that they're in and so forth, but they have fundamental differences. Sharks are fish and dolphins are mammals. That's the first one. So if you're not a fish, don't learn to swim like fish, because sharks don't ever have to come up for air, but dolphins do. So if you need to come up for air, don't learn to swim from people that can stay underwater their entire lives. In fact, air will kill them, too much of it, right? So there's these fundamental differences. The body of a shark goes side to side. The body of a dolphin goes up and down. The tail of a shark goes side to side. The tail of a dolphin goes up and down. So if you take shark swimming techniques and apply them to dolphins, the dolphin is going to die in the water before it learns to swim like a shark. That's the distinction that I really want you to get. So to put it in the context of what we're talking about here, if you are a transformational coach, then most sales courses, most sales philosophies, most sales fundamentals are not for you. They're for transactional situations. Because the majority of sales on the planet, in the world, the majority of sales is a transactional experience. They're selling widgets, they're selling products, they're selling information. But the reason that people buy transformational coaching because they want to change their life is so much different than the reason that people would buy a course on how to flip real estate. So if the reason that people would buy is different there than here, you can't follow the same strategies. You got to get this, because you are unique if you want to change somebody else's life. And the people that are selling you these sales courses, and I'm not trying to like throw any of them under the bus. They're not bad people. They're just selling something that doesn't work for you. That's the whole thing. I really want to get that. I'm not making like a values judgment that we're good and they're bad. It's just that we're different. And sometimes good and different is actually more damaging and more dangerous than bad and different, because there's a lot of overlap, and it makes sense that you would buy this thing. But you've probably heard me say this if you've been listening to some of these mastery classes. What we see in the coaching industry is a bunch of toddlers crashing their Ferraris because they don't know how to drive yet, but somebody sold them a Ferrari, which will be relevant when they're 16, but not when they're in diapers. So you need to understand what's aligned for you. And if there are any variables that are significant that are different in a recipe, then it's not going to be aligned for you. And a lot of the people that are selling these sales techniques, they've never sold transformational coaching. And if they've never sold transformational coaching, they can't teach you to do it. Again, with no judgment. I'm not saying they're bad. It's just that they can't sell you the concepts of selling a product they've not sold. So don't fall for the pitch. You have to understand what puzzle piece you need to fit your puzzle. If you don't know that, then every puzzle piece is going to be really intriguing in the hands of a sharp salesperson. And that's why we have a bunch of toddlers driving Ferraris, crashing Ferraris. All right. So if you get this concept, then you'll realize that the entire philosophy of increasing your sales skills will never work for you, because you're not a salesperson. So it'll never feel good to you. There are a lot of people that I know that have learned sales strategies, me being one of them, but we don't like it. I still don't like sales strategies taught from salespeople making transactional sales. I have a lot of those skills because I learned them early on in my career, but I don't like it. And if you don't like it, you won't do it. If you don't like it, they can tell you don't like it. So when you show up and talk to somebody about your coaching services, they will know something doesn't smell right. Something about this whole thing stinks. Now, they're probably not going to say, I smell misalignment, but they feel it. Because if you're misaligned, you're not going to be able to have passion when you present the thing that you want them to say yes to, especially if you've never said yes to that thing. And the amount of coaches that are certified from recognizable institutions but have never bought coaching and don't have any clients, I'll tell you, that's the biggest bucket of all in the coaching industry, if we're going to really be honest. So you need to understand why people would buy your services, what's in their mind. And if you have studied coaching and you're still struggling in building a coaching business, it's most likely not because you suck at coaching sales. It's more likely that you suck at salesperson sales. So you shouldn't be doing it. But it's not that you suck at coaching, and it doesn't mean that you can't make this work. It's just that you need something that's more aligned. So that gets us to the number one sales technique for coaches. Be a really, really good damn coach. That's the best sales technique. The best sales technique is your ability to change a life. Because you know what will never go away? People's desire to change their lives. The coaching industry has been assaulted with marketing, especially over the last 4 years. There's so much more competition. There's so many more items on the menu. There's so many more of everything. And so when the quantity increases, the competition increases and the quality decreases, which is a good thing for you because the best way to stand out is to keep your quality high. And that way, when you do get into a conversation with somebody, they will be taken aback at how good you actually are in what they actually want, which is a change in their life. And so when you become a really, really good coach, your sales will increase. Now, that might be a counter-intellectual statement, but trust me, your sales will increase not by increasing your sales skills, but increasing your coaching skills and actually probably decreasing the sales skills that are generally taught. Your sales will increase when you give people valuable experiences and stop trying to sell them expectations, which is generally what most sales tactics are all about. You buy this program and you're going to get that thing. You're going to get that benefit. You're selling them expectations from the future. Instead of doing that and trying to jump out ahead of where you really are, especially if you're trying to make high ticket sales and you're trying to scale something that hasn't even been proven to be successful, you're a toddler in the Ferrari. And that doesn't mean that you personally are dumb or any of that. It just means, where are you in the journey? Don't get out ahead of yourself and build the certainty from where you are, and then create all of your success step by step foundationally. And then it can work for you. I think this coaching industry has been taken over by the concept that to succeed in coaching, you have to extract money from other people. And if you can extract money from other people, then you're a successful coach. That's one of the reasons why high ticket sales is such a focus, such a target for so many people. And it's sickening because the target should be you being a really good coach. And when you become a really good coach, then here's the thing. You get people into conversations, right? Here's your sales strategy. You get people into conversations, give them experiences that move the needle in their lives somehow, and then ask them if they want more. That's it. Give them really good experiences and ask them if they want more of what they just experienced. Then you don't have to get good at selling theoretical expectations, which is one of the reasons, the main reason probably, most coaches despise sales, because that's what it's focused on. Selling theoretical expectations, which gets people into their head. It triggers why they shouldn't do this. And then you have to get in your head and overpower what's in their head and get over those objections and all that stuff. Give them something that they can't deny, which is a really good experience. And you can give it to them in an email. You can give it to them in a post. You can give it to them in a video. You can give it to them in a podcast episode. You can give it to them in a one-on-one coaching consultation or a free coaching session. Give them something that they really want, which is a shift in their life. And then just ask them, you want more of that? Because if you do want more of that, then let me tell you about my coaching services. That is the number one sales strategy for nearly everybody in the coaching industry, because most coaches are teachers and trainers more and first before they're salespeople. So I hope that makes sense to you, but you have to have certainty in what you're doing. And if you've been watching any of these, you know we have a live event coming up. I only got about 40 seconds to tell you about it, but you can go to coachseansmith.com/launch to see more of it. We're giving you 2 days of deep dive coaching immersion and then 2 days of deep dive marketing immersion. And these are the most important 2 muscles that you'll use literally for the rest of your career if you want to build a coaching business, so that you can see the opportunities, create the intrigue in your prospects, offer them things that will continue them converting in the customer journey, and ultimately you can make some good money delivering some really good impact. So you can show up in person, you can show up virtual. All of it is at coachseansmith.com/launch. I'm going to come to you many more times over the next few weeks with these little mini mastery classes. Hopefully this made sense. Let me know what really stood out to you, and I'll see you in the next mini mastery class. Let's see how long it takes to end. I only gave it like 5 seconds. Go. Stop. 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 I mean, this is 20 seconds now. Oh,